Frankie, could you do invocation?
We thank you, Lord, for this day and for bringing us together to do the business of the people. And we ask you to guide the decisions that we make, that they'll be in the best interest of our people and our nation. In Jesus' name.
Roll call.
Dick Lay,
Here.
Frankie Hargis, Bill Anglin,
Here.
Jack Baker,
Here.
Joe Byrd, Julia Coates, here. Jody Fishinghawk, here. Meredith Fraley, Janelle Fulbright, here. Don Garvin, Chuck Hoskin Jr., Tyler Gloria Jordan,
Present.
Lee Keener, Curtis Snell, David Thornton, David Walkingstick, Kara Cowan Watts. Honey, we do have a quorum.
I'd like to ask for approval of the last month's minutes.
Make a motion that we approve.
Second. Motion and second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay, we'll go to our reports for Marshall Land. Good afternoon.
This is going to be very short, so after I get done, if you have any questions on your report, just ask me. The No Water Clinic, we are going to have to delay that opening for business. It's not the open house, but it's just open for business Monday, I'm afraid. We have some sewer problems, and then the roof's leaking right now, so we're trying to get them fixed. I'll be able to know more probably by Thursday or Friday on that. Collinsville, we're now taking bids on that property. The bid process ends March 20th. And I've got a meeting with Bruce Davis and to make sure everything's on track on that. The Veterans Center, we're at our last 3 weeks until Flint Cole will walk away from it. And then that'll be the end of it. And we'll start relying strictly on volunteers. And we've already started that process. I just wanted to report that a lot of times people are afraid of surveys, especially when you're a service organization. And we've got our first preliminary findings on our customer service survey in family assistance. And we're real pleased with them. It wasn't just all telling us what we did wrong, it was also telling us what we did right. And we do have some areas to work on, and I'm going to, we'll start those focus groups soon, and then I'm going to extend that on to the rest of Human Services. That's all I really had to report. If you have any questions.
Jody?
Yes. Can you talk to us about the clothing vouchers? You sent out an email on it here a while back. You was going to get with different communities and wanted to know if there's any certain schools that needed to be.
When all of that is finalized, I'm going to get, after I did that, I thought it'd be easier if I just tell you the schools we're going to attend, and then if we lack any, you can let us know. Please keep in mind that these schools have to give us permission. We contact all of them, and then they have to give us permission to come in. And so there are a few schools out there that won't do that, but I'll let you know that if there's a problem.
When you say go into them and visit with them, is that going to be to set up the sites?
What we do
Or
is
is that just a
No.
intake?
Let's take Stillwell for instance. We may have a primary place that we're going to go, and we can't go to every little school, but we'll notify them that they can come into the Stillwell school and apply there on such and such a day. So it won't be every site. We just don't have the manpower to do that.
Okay, so instead, is it just going to be one day with one school in each county like it was, or are you going to? I'm confused.
I doubt it because we don't have the manpower. They're going to have to probably, if I remember, I think it's a week-long deal.
So you're going to get with the other schools in the area and
Yes.
tell them? Okay, good, to get the word out.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about child support? Because I know I've sent you 2 or 3 questions and different things that was going on right now with people wanting, and I usually I tell them when they call me, I say, hey, it's a child support case, it deals with children and minors. I can't get involved, I can hand you off to someone.
What is it you want to know?
Well, I
Specific.
sent you a couple of them about following up on cases or child support. Can you tell me the process after I hand them to y'all, what y'all do, or?
I give them to Kara Whitworth, who's the director, and then she will see whether or not we have a case, actual case on them, or usually these are referred by the state, and then she'll get back with me. And is that process not working, or?
Well, I was just wanting to make sure that they were followed up on. And
Yeah, that's how we do it. And one of the things that I really like about what Kara's doing is it's not just throwing Mule England in jail here because he won't pay his child support. We'll work with old Mule, and we'll adjust his child support payments. Like if it's too high, we'll go in and we'll adjust. I'm sorry, you were handy. I guess I could have gone with her. But anyway, we're trying to change our image because a lot of times on the state, they just say you pay $500 and that's it. Well, they don't work with the guys or the women, whoever is the one paying the child support. So what we're trying to do is really work with them to where they feel a responsibility. You know, even if they can just pay $50, that's fine, as long as they're paying something. Because our intention is not to put them in jail. But anyway, that's a little bit about it. And then we're out in the communities too, letting the single parents know that there is child support available.
And then I had a couple of questions for Counselor Hoskin. Last fall, during budget hearing, we had put money in the budget for nutrition centers, nutrition sites. They was to get an extra couple thousand.
It's $1,500.
Well, it was supposed to be a couple thousand at one time. The year before that, it just got thrown in the general budget for your department. But last year, it was supposed to go for nutrition sites, community buildings, and what was the third? Food pantries? Food pantries. And some of them falls under you. Could you check that out?
It was $2,000.
Mm-hmm. And it was elderly nutrition sites. The community service would fall under Ricky, but the food pantries would probably fall under you.
Well, I saw something come by when I was out of the office Thursday and Friday, and that was a total of $1,500 that was donated to the tribe, and it went to food distribution. That's not it?
No, this one's something else. I'm hoping it didn't get lost again like it did the year before.
Okay, I'll find out about it.
Okay, and did you ever hear anything on the backpack program, or did that ever get to you?
No, that's really not under me. I'm part of it, but that's not really under me. Ginger Brown has said that she would be getting with me in the next 2 or 3 months probably to set up meetings on that.
For the backpack program?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you very much.
Carol?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So on the school clothes vouchers, I originally read the email that was sent around. I think it was the same one that the other councilwoman was asking about. It appeared that there was going to be new school voucher program just for summer schools. For whatever reason, the way it was worded, that's the way I interpreted and read
And
it.
that might have been my wording.
Okay, so we do not have a summer school clothing voucher program.
There's a school voucher program. Okay, in the winter, it's called the coat voucher program.
But they have
In
to
the
be the
summer,
first to
in
do
the summer,
coats.
it's the school clothing voucher.
Only because we take those applications before the school year starts,
Yeah, June or July.
but it's not summer school clothing. Okay. Then the other question was, and I think you answered it, but I want to make sure my mind's clear, is you do contact all the schools
Yes.
to make them aware, but we are going to stick with one site. For example, it was Claremore, I think, last year.
Mhm.
Okay.
And we'll give them the dates, and then we'll let them know that those school kids can come, or parents can go.
And you'll send that to us as well at the same time? Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Tina?
Marcia, on that child support services, is there a way that we could, if you owe a debt, say you owe credit card debt, they send you a letter before they bring a lawsuit. And it has within that letter something called debt validation, where if you desire to do so, you can send a letter back and say, hey, tell me under what circumstances I owe this and when did I accumulate this debt. In the child support area, we seem to be falling short on what I call debt validation. They'll sue you, they'll sue Buell. Okay, Buell, we use his example. They sue Buell. Buell says, I paid all my child support. And he'll go to court and he'll say, well, tell me what months I owe child support for. And basically, the information I'm getting back is, well, we don't have to tell you that. Well, that's kind of like a moving target. If you got an 18-year-old kid, when did I not pay child support during that 18 years?
Who's saying they won't tell them that? The judge or the, or
the folks that are coming to court, daddies or mamas that purportedly owe the child support, are saying they can't find out what months they owe for it because they'll come with a whole bunch of receipts. A lot of times they've had the custodial parent sign a receipt for the month, or they're paying through the court system and the court system gives them a receipt. So here they come with their box of receipts and they're trying to figure out what month are you saying I didn't pay for. And they can't seem to get that information on a timely basis from our people. And I think I know why. It's because most of these are state cases assigned to us. And the state is notorious about not giving that information out. But because I used to work child support, so I kind of know what I think is happening. I don't think it's gotten any better in the last 20 years than it was, 20, 25 years ago. The state's a little slow to send the response back. Next hearing comes up, they still haven't got the information. Now the judge is getting mad because he's seen these people 2 or 3 times on his docket. And more than likely, he's going to pop them without them ever having been given an opportunity to get information from us that shows truly what months we're saying they owe for, so they can go to their receipt box and dig out whatever receipts they might have that pertains to that month. So I'm wondering if we could make sure, prior to putting them in jail, prior to Buell, you have them go to lockup.
I'm sorry, they're going to have a field day.
That we give them an opportunity. I'm not defending them, because I've heard every story in the book about why I don't pay my child support. But I've got a boat at my house, and I've got a new car at my house. And the thing I always ask people when they come in to talk to me about child support is, well, what's your telephone number? And they always offer up their cell number. And I'm always wondering, well, why do you have a cell telephone if you've not paid your child support? That would be one of the things I would give up in order to get the support to my children. So I'm not trying to defend anyone, but I can also see the other side where they've got receipts, they just don't know which receipt to give to you, and we're actually seeing them be told, hey, I don't want that box of receipts, I want the receipt. Well, which month? Because we don't know. I'm pretty good about telling people that I represent, and I do not represent people on child support dealing with Cherokee Nation now because of being on the council. But I've always been pretty good about telling people, hey, get a receipt. Don't ever give money to the court system, to your ex, to anyone without getting a receipt. So they are pretty good about keeping a box of receipts. But we don't seem to be so good about telling them what months that they really have missed. And it's really convoluted the way the state keeps their records. And I wouldn't sit here and try to blame the Cherokee Nation people. I think it's a combination of we're waiting on somebody else, the judge gets tired and he starts putting people in jail when really they probably may have paid that month.
I'll get with Kara and get back with you, or do you want the rest of you want to be notified?
Well,
what that
I think it'd be
process
good if everybody knew.
is? Okay, I'll send it to
I don't know how many
Diane.
gets child support problems, maybe I'm the only one that gets them. But I do get a lot of child support questions, and I have tried to call, and of course y'all got that set up like the state, to get to the person that's working the case. It's like trying to unlock a vault. You're given a number, and then you get on a list, and then they might return your call, and they're busy, so the calls are gonna come maybe at the end of the day, after they've worked all day and they're tired and they don't have access at that point to the system, because the system has gone offline because it's after working hours. So we need to, we're doing a good job of collection. I know we do a good job of collection, but we don't want to over collect.
Right.
We want to be sure what we're collecting, because this impacts both sides. It impacts the person getting the money favorably. It impacts the person that's giving the money sometimes unfavorably. Right now it's tax intercept time, and I don't know if a lot of y'all realize, but if you get behind in child support in the state of Oklahoma, you go on a tax intercept list, and they'll grab a hold of your tax refund. And a lot of times we're finding that those tax refunds, I know of one case in particular, and it was us that did it. We got the tax refund, it went to the mother, and she'd already been paid, and now we can't get the money back from the mother because she's already spent it. So we want to be really careful when we grab a hold of someone's money, because I don't know who's going to pay for that. I don't know if we're going to end up paying for it. Cherokee Nation themselves is going to end up having to pay that back, or how that's going to work. So I really hope that we can be just a little more, I call it debt validation. That's what I called it years ago when I worked in child support, is I want them to know, and I would always go to court. I did this up front. I would go to court with a printout of the months that they had missed, because I knew that's the first thing they was going to say, well, what months did I miss? Very seldom do they just get up and say, well, I've never paid any of it, so do what you want to do with me. They don't normally say that. Normally, they'll get up, especially if they have an attorney, and say, well, we need to know what months we owe. And then starts this process of trying to get it. Well, I used to do it up front, and I think our people can do it up front. They just got to request it timely.
Okay.
And
You just want to say, Mr. Ames, you've been notified, we're notifying you that you owe $1.25 for this child and for the month of April or whatever.
right. I think
Okay.
if we would do that, we would I'll come over and be on the other side. I'll put the other hat on.
I said $1.25.
I'm actually pretty good at child support cases, but I just don't do them because of.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
I've been on the collecting end, and I've been on the end trying to fight it, so I know both ends of it. But if we could, that's a hole in our system right now. And I know that I've talked to some of the attorneys over there, but then the attorneys kind of like a moving target over there too. They come and go quite a bit. And the other thing I wanted to ask you about was included in next year's budget. I'm hoping you're going to do this, that you will include the amount that it takes to buy the coats for the children in the winter, as well as the school clothing amount for the fall. Because I don't know how many people told me how much they appreciated the extra money for the coats. Because what happens is we buy those kids clothing to start school, but it's lightweight clothing. And then by the time we get to December, they're needing a coat, and there's no money to get them a coat. Well, I think we did something extra so that we could do that this year. And that was welcome relief to those families.
Well, you don't think about buying a coat in July and August when you're buying school clothes. So.
But they were very appreciative of that, and I hope that we can include both components in next year's budgetary process that comes from your department, because I don't know how many comments in fact, I had several kids that walked up to me this fall after that money went out and said, Mama wanted to tell you, thank you for the coat. Here, I'm wearing it today. you know, they'd have the coat on. Well, that's just a real good thing that Cherokee Nation has done, buying those kids coats. It was very welcomed by the families.
Okay.
Thank you.
Marcia, is everybody through? The Noah Nutrition Center, the roof leaks and the sewer doesn't work, is that right?
There's a smell coming out of the sewer. We don't know if it's backing up. I don't know if you've ever had it. Sometimes you can just pour water down there because it's not being used. We tried that last week. It didn't work. So now we're getting the plumber back out to see what the problem is.
Well, that, the proceed, you're already on top of calling the builder, whoever.
I'm gonna try, I've been here 5 months and I've had 3 people over this project. So I'm trying to get Mr. Davis, get some feedback from him, so.
That Veterans Center, you say Flintco's getting ready to end their portion of
Yeah.
the building. That's gonna be about 3 weeks. And what, do we know if we had to fund the completion of that building, how much money somebody would have to try to come up?
Pat Gwynn, when he was over that, had got like an estimate on what it was gonna cost to finish it. And it was 1.6 million, I think is what it was, but that was just an estimate, it wasn't a bid. So that was, you know, all this is just a shell, and then they're gonna have to come in and do everything else.
So that was to, once Flintco goes home, it's gonna take 1.6.
To finish it out and get it ready.
Thank you, Marcia. Okay, let's see, David Sutherland.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Got a few things to report here. Usually do disclosures first, but I have no disclosures this month. The next Housing Authority Board meeting is a week from tomorrow at noon, the 20th, down at the Housing Authority building at the Alene Hogner Conference Room. Our new construction, new home ownership program, we're going to start taking applications on April the 2nd. We'll do that just like we do now in any of our area offices. You'll be able to turn in an application. The Community Works grants, we received 42 applications for a total of $1.8 million. We have $400,000 to give out. So we're being very diligent in reviewing those. Hope to have a decision, if not by the end of this week, by the end of the following week, on what we're going to fund. Just a couple of things. One on water and sanitation. Might have mentioned this before, but really looks like our IHS funding for our scattered septic and water systems probably going to feel about a 25% decrease in funding next fiscal year, which we fund several different things. Some of those are specific projects, so those specific ones won't be reduced. It will be out of the scattered sites that we will reduce. As far as our road stuff, we got a couple of bid openings next week. One's on the Lees Creek Bridge down in Sequoia County, and Cedar Crest Road up in Mays County. We're going to open bids next week. And here in Cherokee County, our Barber Road project is on schedule and going well. That's really all I had written down as far as reporting. Didn't know if anybody had any questions or not.
Jody?
On this Kenwood water line, I know on the plans there was a building on it. I don't know if it was part of the pump, maybe it was, I'm not really quite sure.
Billy's here, maybe he can, I'm not familiar with the,
Well, they was talking about it the other day, it's like a 10 by 10 building. At the most, it was costing $150,000 to build.
ooh.
I found that rather ridiculous. And I know that you've already got the plans drawn up. They've been drawn up for several years now, but
It's a pre-made pump station to control the pumps in 2 different locations, and the cost of the building is based on the cost of all those controls and the electronics to keep those pumps operational, to switch back and forth from the pumps and to rotate them. That's the main cost of that building is locating all those electronics and controls.
So it's not for the actual building of the,
Right. It's a package building that'll come in there on a truck and they'll set it off and hook it up. And the
Okay.
cost of that building is primarily due to those pumps and controls.
okay, I was looking at the, I was looking at the papers on it and I thought, what in the world are we
Be a
bidding
kind
this
of a
thing at $150,000?
Expensive well house.
Yeah, I thought about moving in it. Okay, that's what I have, thank you.
David?
David, I know that we're not giving out any trailers unless we have to right now, but those trailers that we are giving out, are those trailers, what year model are they?
The ones that we're buying are new.
I mean, they're 2011, 2012?
Well, it could be 11. It could be, I don't know specifically. I'd have to check to be, but we bought the last that we're buying. From here on, it's going to be a replacement home, stick built. Generally, the ones we replace are for elders, and we're going with a 2-bedroom.
Are they gonna be brick?
Well, we bricked that one up at that model home. I'm not sure. I'm not going to sit here and say yes or no.
How much square feet are we?
A little over 700.
What? A square foot?
660 square foot on a 2-bedroom.
How much a square foot does it take
Oh, I'm
to
sorry.
build the house?
We don't have final cost, but we're projecting it for what? 42, between 42 and 5. 42,000, I should say.
50,000.
Yeah. But when we get all the cost in, I'll be happy to put a schedule together on those 3 model homes and get it to you all. Kind of get a feel for what each little discipline cost.
We are using Cherokee vendors to build these.
I'll keep looking at Gary just to make sure I'm right. All the labor things were done by Cherokee
Contract.
Tarot contractors. The only thing that wasn't or hasn't been is the suppliers, lumber, trusses.
This cost include their contracts?
Yeah.
Councilor Walken, speak.
Is in our Indian housing plan for the application for Nahasda, is there any way that we could build a home, like a foster home for Cherokees only? Because our Indian child welfare, we have a lot of Cherokees across the United States that are getting funneled into public foster care, and we think if we could maybe have some type of cultural inclusion with our Cherokees. And the other pro to this is the impact aid aspect for school districts. It's roughly $3,000 per Cherokee kid, and if that's a tax exempt property, and say there's 10 Cherokees or something living in one of our homes, you know, that's gonna be $30,000 brought into the school district for impact aid. And I know Chief Baker keeps talking about this initiative on increasing impact aid in schools. Instead of having 3 Cherokees live in our household, we could be having 10, but we're serving our kids that are caught up in the foster care. But I was wanting to know on your end, David, is if this is something that we can even do through our Nahasda?
I think it is. It could be a model activity, and HUD might have to approve it, since it is a little different than what we normally do. But it's housing people, even, you know.
Now, I know we wrote the application for this year. Is this something, can we get in, do it pretty quick within this year, or do we need to wait for the next fiscal year?
It's possible that it could be done this fiscal year.
Okay, that's what I need to know.
I'd probably want to give the HUD folks a call real fast, you know, and to find out, to make sure, because
I tell you what,
college dormitory stuff is eligible, and I'm not sure how this would be a whole lot different than that same type of concept.
well, may try to get a meeting with you and just try to further discuss this.
Okay? In the meantime, I'll get a hold of the HUD folks, just to kind of rub it off to them, see if they have any heartburn.
Thanks, Dave. That's all.
Tina? Oh, excuse me, pardon me, Tina, Kara, I had a written.
Thank you,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you on all the other requests that we've got a numerous number of requests, it seems like, from District 5 lately, and you've been great about being responsive, you and your staff. So thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a request that I think actually Councilman Keener brought forward at the end of January, 1st of February, through the procedure that the chief's office has asked us to do through
Okay.
Diane Turtle, and something called temporary tarot.
Okay?
So he was denied his request for any additional information, and it was a bid, and there's not a number, but it has to do with the bid materials. And it closed on January 31st, and it was opened on January 26th. Because we'd had a discussion about it. And it says a contractor shall receive temporary preference upon notification by Taro that a contractor has submitted a completed Taro application and does appear to be eligible for Taro certification. And this temporary Taro preference shall be for a period no longer than 45 days from the date of application until such time Taro shall take official action of the contractor's Taro application.
Well, let me tell
This
you
shows
what,
up in housing, so I don't know if we need to blame you or.
no, you have to blame me.
Okay,
Back a few years ago, and I was familiar, I didn't know there was any type of FOIA request, but there was a question about
yeah, help me
this.
understand all this, David.
Okay. It's been at least 4 or 5 years ago, we always had in our policy, if we were going to do a bid, we had to allow a contractor, and if there was a certification type process, like in this case, Indian preference, we had to allow a time frame if somebody bid, allow them enough time to get certified. That's where that came from. And we certainly don't want to try to go around or create another Taro type thing. We're going to do whatever Taro law says. I didn't even think about that, creating a different anything, than what Taro requires now. But that's where that came from. I went back and looked. I can't find that requirement in there anymore. So what we'll probably do is take that out of our policy.
May I continue, Mr. Chairman? Thank you. So I think that Councilman Keener and I will follow up with you on this in writing, because I would like to understand, because this was brought to my attention by a Taro vendor, and I think the same person to you. So I'd like to know if we're going to continue, what that is based on. But if we're not going to continue, then let's.
Well, we don't want to have something that is conflicts with the Taro law. And then after it was brought to my attention, I haven't done a ton of research, but it kind of appears that there's a process that Taro calls for, and that's the process we need to follow. This was just, if Joe Blow wanted to bid and he wasn't Taro, then it would allow him some time to get
Has
Taro.
anyone been awarded under this?
I don't think so. No.
Yeah, because I was curious. I mean, that led me to the next thing is like, so if we award and then they're not really Taro, I mean, they don't qualify for Taro, and they got the
Yeah,
contract based on being Taro certified, kind of pseudo, whatever this is, that was alarming. And then how would you revoke that contract?
true.
Okay, but you're telling me you think it might not be necessary going forward,
Well,
and we don't have to.
Well, we want to be within the Taro law. So if we can't do that, then we're not going to do it. I mean,
Very good. We'll follow up in writing so we can have that with you.
okay. Just to follow up, I remember now when we got the bids, there wasn't anyone that fell into that category.
Okay.
So it wasn't, we hadn't put a whole lot of thought into it
Very
since.
good. Well, that's
Yeah.
comforting, at least for that
Yeah.
bid that came to our attention, and then looks like we can come to some conclusions. It was pretty disappointing to get a comment back from the chief's office saying, well, we're just not gonna respond to you, so And I thought, well, David probably must have not gotten it because you've been very responsive, like you always have been,
I
so.
found that if you don't try to fix a problem, it's not gonna go away, so.
No,
uh,
well, I
best
appreciate
take
that.
care of it up front.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Time.
Dave, do you have the, kind of the rules or the regulations that we're gonna go by, for the people that are making application after April 2nd?
Not a final version, but what is it, week from tomorrow at the board meeting, we're gonna have the board address that,
Okay.
and there's just a few little things that we wanna address, things that we've always done in the past, like, you know, if you've had a mutual help home in the past, are you gonna be eligible for this program? You know, just little things like that that we put that, you know, the folks that process those applications, let them look at the policy, and then they send you a list of questions about that deep. Well, that's where I'm at right now.
So the policies will be approved on or about the 20th of March?
That's the
then?
plan.
Okay. And those model homes are out behind Jim Hopkins'
Yes.
old auto place?
Yep.
I guess anyone that desires to do so from this body could certainly go out and look at those and see how far along you've come.
Yeah.
I think was the commitment somewhat that we'll get them up and going and ready in about 45 days or so?
That was kind of the plan.
Okay.
Hopefully
And
we'll get close to
I believe they've
that.
been bricked and
If they're
dried
not
in.
completely bricked, they're close to it.
Okay. That 2-bedroom, 1 bath, the replacement home,
Mhm.
that's mostly for the elderly, is that
Yes.
right?
That's the plan.
Okay.
Although we've had interest in just, like one of the guys that worked in communications the other day, he said he's a confirmed bachelor, and he looked at that, and that's just perfect for him.
Mhm.
And I told him, well, if my wife ever kicks me out, it'll probably be perfect for me too, so.
And then there's a 3-bedroom with a enclosed garage.
Mhm.
And then there'll be a 4-bedroom without a garage.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
And when would be a good time? Should we wait maybe another week or two and then go out and look at it?
Painting should be done this week.
The painting should be done this week.
Okay. So that gives us a pretty good idea of what they're gonna look like inside.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yep.
Okay, and then, I had a question about, the dorm assistants. Are we going to be able to open up some applications on that?
Well, I had a meeting with Neil Morton this morning, and, you know, education's got the deal up at NSU that they try to do, where they assist some folks. There's also been a lot of interest in, you know, if someone wanted to be a vet, obviously they can't go to NSU to be a vet, why can't we help those folks? So my recommendation to the chief's going to be, let's try to have some dorm assistance for that also. I've got a meeting with him tomorrow, and that's on the list to talk about. But we would also, you know, first of the year doesn't, or the first of physical year is October 1st. Yeah, to adequately fund that, if we're going to do that for the fall semester, we may have to do some budget revisions before then. So I want to visit with him just real quick about that.
So you'll be able to come back next month probably and give us
Yeah.
maybe a little bit of a report on that?
Yes,
And also probably have the written rules on the new housing
Yes.
program will be available
Yep.
then.
Yep.
But we can safely start telling people to go to their area office, well, that's not, let's back up, don't call it area office, I guess our.
well, we
sub-
still call them area offices, yeah.
They could go to their respective area office or sub-office for Cherokee Nation, and along about the 2nd of April, we'll have some applications available for them.
Yes.
Okay. Currently, how much money do you recall are we providing out of our, out of the NAHASDA funding for the money for law enforcement?
1.2 or 3 million. It's 1 point something. I don't know that exact number.
Okay. Do you know whether the money for law enforcement is gonna continue coming out of Mazda, or is it gonna become a?
I haven't had that discussion with the administration. Once we start putting together budgets for next fiscal year, I'm sure we'll have that discussion.
Okay. I just wondered whether it would become a general fund item entirely, or were we gonna continue? It seems like we have kind of this ongoing argument with the Nahasda folks of whether we can, whether we're capable of showing them that we provide services over and above what the norm for law enforcement is. I think that's in that kind of the
That's
test.
yeah.
Show
I
us
do
what
think-
you do for that up and over what,
I think that's been worked out, though. I think
okay, that has been worked
yeah,
out.
yeah.
So we don't think that's gonna,
That shouldn't be an
right
issue.
now, it may not continue to be an audit exception.
Right.
Okay. And then finally, I wanted to ask you, I know that y'all have done some studying on those alternative gas vehicles, and my understanding is that the problem with spending the Delaware's money that's coming back to us was that money has to go to vehicles that are on the lot
Yeah,
at the
there's
time
no,
of purchase.
because we have to spend them.
And that we're not able to get those alternative gas vehicles, they're not on the lot, they have to be ordered.
According to my staff person, the only vehicles that are actually equipped with that coming out new is a Honda something or another. Chevy doesn't do it, Ford doesn't do it, and what we're needing basically is pickups. There isn't, they can be equipped for that. It's somewhere between $9,000 and $15,000 to get a kit to put on those. So we'll probably look at doing that to some if it makes sense. It's probably not gonna make sense for all of them, but at that kind of money.
Is there an aftermarket kit that we can buy cheaper than that?
I'm not sure, Don.
I know when the propane kits
Yeah.
first came out, it was like 3 times for the dealer to put it on
Yeah.
than what your local repairman could put it on for, and it was basically the same kit.
Yeah.
And I just wondered if we've checked into whether there's gonna be some of those repair people that might be willing to do those kits for aftermarket.
Don't know, but we'll certainly look at that. Because we'd like, I mean, we got the pump here, we'd like to utilize that. I think environmental guys have maybe put converted a car or two, or,
Well, we have several million tied up in our stations now, and no cars to pick up. So now we need the vehicles, and I think it's probably gonna have to start with a governmental entity buying the vehicles to make it happen, because my understanding is most of the departments use their federal money to buy the vehicles and their tribal money to place gas in them. So it would appear to me that if we paid a little more up front, using the federal money, we'll save a whole lot out of the general fund.
yeah.
And I'm just excited to see if we can get one department to
Jump out there. and-
jump out there and do it.
Well, it'd be nice, once they start offering them at the dealership, I think that, they'll help out a lot. You know, back many years ago, we converted a lot of those housing authority vehicles up in the early 90s, late 80s.
On propane,
To
as I
propane,
recall.
yeah.
There was a big number of them that was ran on propane.
Yeah.
And I think we did find it saved us a lot of money. And then now they've come along with something that should save us some money.
Some more, yeah.
Like 25, I think the gas is 25% on the dollar. If we use the alternative gas, it's like costing us a quarter versus $1 for that same portion of
Yeah.
gas, if
Yeah.
it's regular gas.
Everything I've heard is the fuel mileage is very comparable.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Councilman Thornton?
Yes, got a few questions.
I've got 2 Davids here. I keep going
Okay.
back and forth. Actually, I got 3 though.
And the gas is going up, so we might as well get ready for $4 or $5 a gallon, that's what I'm telling you. But anyway, first I want to ask you about a program we used to have that, where you had for rental assistance, and we give out vouchers for that. What happened to that program?
Still going strong. It was under Marcia, and it just recently come back. It's going to be under my group again.
Under your group?
Yeah. We're going to, we've got, Marcia's got staff, or had staff, they're my staff now, that are located in the same general area as the housing offices, like at Salisaw. They're located at the Human Services office. We are moving them back to the housing
Who
authority
will handle
office.
that down there at Salsa? Can you?
Joanna Davis, she used to work, the girl in rehab. She moved over to rental assistance a month or two ago.
Okay, but, I hadn't heard of it here lately, so I just was asking about it and see if we can still have that program.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, on these homes that were $50,000 a home, square foot home, does that fall under those 300 homes that we're going to build for the year?
The replacement home, no.
Then
Replacement homes are generally going to be
those
used.
don't have anything to do with the 300 homes we're going to build.
Unless somebody wants one of those.
Okay.
Would prefer that instead of a 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom.
If they're replacement homes and they're low income, do those people make a payment?
No, not right now.
And they just get a
Generally, those
replacement home?
used through rehab. When their house is so bad, it doesn't make sense to go in and spend $35,000. We'll provide a replacement home.
Well, how many of those replacement homes do you think we're going to do in a year?
Well, that's kind of hard from year to year. We tried to do approximately 15 to 20, depending on how much funding we have. You all, a couple months ago, we revised that Indian housing plan, and we put an extra, I can't remember, $2.5 million in that. But we've got, I think we've got approximately 40 lined up to do right now, replacement homes, for this physical year.
Okay, we're still doing the mortgage assistance
Yes.
program. How much money we have in there?
I think to start the year, it's like 3.5 or 4.3. 3.5.
Then we're still, what, talking about 40 homes, 30 homes?
Out of mortgage
Out of
assistance?
mortgage assistance?
Oh, no, it's 250 or so.
At 3 point,
3.5, I think 3.5 will get you 280. I don't do the math anymore like I used to.
that's good. Okay, then what we're going to do is set up a separate deal completely on these 300 homes, and it doesn't include these model homes that you're building out here. They're going to be a completely different home.
Well, they're going to be like the 3-bedroom and the 4-bedroom. Those are the homes.
Okay, what, are they costing like 50,000?
I think they'll be a little more than that.
3 and 4
We don't-
would be more than that.
Yeah.
Just a tad bit less, just for the house itself.
Yeah, just for the house itself. We still got the utilities on top of that.
On all these homes, like, are we putting the heat and air in that for that same cost, like 50,000 or 60,000 or 70, whatever we're going to spend, where we are including
Yeah.
the heat and air?
Yeah.
You know, you hear all kinds of things out there, you never know. But that sounds good. But I couldn't distinguish the difference between the giveaway homes compared to what we're starting to do. Are we building any homes right now for the 350, or is that?
No, but I've got a meeting on Thursday.
I heard that.
We're going to, we got some property here and there. We're probably we're gonna go ahead and probably do some bidding and get some homes started.
Start that out.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll be all through Terrell and that type of thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna have that fixed.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, David.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Councilor Walken speak.
What if they already have land, Dave?
I'm sorry?
Building homes, the locations of them, what if they already have land? Can you guys place a house on that property?
If they got their own land?
Yeah.
We want them to have their own land. We want to give them preference if they got their own land. if it's an acre, we don't really want no more than an acre. They'll deed it to the housing authority, and we'll use that, we'll have it surveyed and
Okay.
what have you.
All right, appreciate you.
Mr. Jordan?
Another one.
Yeah, thanks, sir. David, price of the home and the driveway and the septic tank and all those other things, is that all built into the price?
Well, it will be.
Will be? So if they get approved, they get the whole ball of wax, so to speak.
What we're looking at doing is putting it all together and then getting a loan for the cost up until a certain point, and then we'll do like same as mortgage assistance for the other part of it.
You know how much the payments might be?
Well, we're looking to keep with taxes and insurance and everything at $350. For 2-bedroom, it'd be less than that.
Okay, on another subject, we have a trailer coming in south of Muskogee, you know, that's progressing.
Yeah. How is it progressing? I'll have to check. I don't know, that's sure been a difficult one to get everybody on the same page here.
Check on it for me, you know the name, and
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilor Burke?
What is going to be the difference in the cost that was put into the Lease Creek Bridge last time versus this time?
Boy.
I know we haven't bid that out yet, and in addition to that, were they zero certified?
You wasn't paying attention, Joe.
Sorry. Lease Creek project.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what's going to be the difference? We're going to bid it out again. Okay, from the last time that it was built, that it's not functioning right now. Okay, this go around, we're going to bid it again. What was the cost last time, and were they Terra certified?
The bridge portion has not been bid out previously.
Okay.
The road overlay portion was bid out previously, yes.
What was the approximate cost?
Well, I don't know. That's been about a year and a half to 2 years ago. I'd have to go back and look. I don't recall. But that portion of the project had nothing to do with the bridge. The bridge washed out after that contract was canceled.
Okay. Just check that out for me.
Sure. So the cost of the original bid is what you're inquiring?
Yeah, and that will go out when?
We're expecting that to go out. Or it's out now. We're opening bids next week.
Good.
Yeah, we're opening bids next week on that.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much. And back to that. Dave, at one time, we're talking about here preference if you own your own land to build these houses. We were told that once the house is paid off, that particular parcel of land would be put back in trust. They would have been an application. Has any of that ever happened?
Say that again, Joe.
Fee simple land to build these houses. Because most of these were restricted land. We took the taxes off of that and donated to the housing authority to build these homes.
Right.
These people were told once the houses are paid for, then they'd have an opportunity to put that land back into that of the people there, and to keep it restriction status. Has that ever happened in any case that you know of?
The only ones I can remember is some that we kept in restricted status with the lease, and they wanted it, once it paid off, they wanted it out of restriction.
Keep it fee simple?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've not had any the other way.
But it's never gone the other way?
Not that I'm aware of. We still got the tribal homes down at, or the homes that are on Cherry Tree on
Yes.
that tribal property.
Yes.
When they get done paying us, we give them a little thing called a certificate of satisfaction that they've, and then they take it over to real estate and can get a deed through that. But I've never had it the other way where they wanted it back. But I wouldn't know that anyway. They'd probably take it out here to real estate.
Okay. Donna, I was going to ask you that.
Actually, a couple years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, there was this push on to revise the 1947 Federal Act,
Yes.
where you could put it back in trust if it had been taken out, or put it back in restricted status if it had been taken out,
Yeah.
and the federal government, or the House of Representatives and the Senate would not move that bill forward.
Okay.
Now, I understand that talking to some of my counterparts across the country, that they're trying to revise that and start that through the processing.
Yeah, I remember that now that you mentioned
At
it.
any point, you know, Sharon Blackwell, when she was here at Tulsa, she was the solicitor at Tulsa. She was kind of the driving force of that.
Yeah.
And then they scooped her up and took her to Washington, and then she retired. And that was, after that, it just didn't, it didn't get pushed much
Okay.
after that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Thornton?
Yes, I had another thing pop up here, David. You know, here a month or two ago, we was talking about taking and building 10 homes and putting them in 5 districts.
Yeah,
That funding for that, where is it?
same
It's coming out
concept.
of the 300?
Yes, that's the idea.
Well, then, if there's 5 districts in 300, we need 60 per district. Is that right?
I don't do math that well, but if the intent is to build as many in one district as we do another.
Okay.
Yeah,
I just kind of wanted to get that straight.
understand.
There's some areas that really need them bad. Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Artis?
I was just wondering, on these houses that they're building up here, what's the income guidelines gonna be, or are there income guidelines?
Well, if we use federal funds, there'll be the 80% of the national median. We're trying to get it to where we'd use no federal funds, and there we wouldn't have one. We just have a minimum. We're still hashing that around. What is the minimum someone should make to be able to be a home buyer? And but on the upper end, we're trying to do away with them, where we don't have to tell anybody.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of people that fall just above that
Yeah,
poverty lines or the federal lines and would like to participate in this, so I just wondered if it's...
yeah. Well, that's the intent. Is
Councilor Fulbright, you had your hand up.
Yes, I've got a question, it may be for Mr. Lynn, but back to the Bradley Ford Bridge. Who actually opens up the bid and gets the bid? Because I had visited with the county commissioner and I kind of got that, he implied to me that they were letting the bid.
No, we are, the nation's letting.
Okay, the
bids will-
nation's letting
The
them.
bids will come into our office and we'll open them up on the 12th, I believe. No, today's the 12th. We opened up, I'd have to look, it's next week.
Okay, thank you. But I don't know if this is the appropriate time or not, but still back to Councilor Joe Bird's question, back to the original contract of fixing the road, that we let that contract a year and a half or 2 years ago, and then what's the status of that? I mean,
That project will go after the bridge is built. We can't conceivably construct that road or reconstruct that road with the bridge being closed as it is. I mean, there's just no way to.
so it'll be at least August then.
Yeah, right now we've got that project, the bridge project scheduled to be completed in mid-August, yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mhm.
David, on notifying people that it's time to apply for these houses with the form, you all turn that loose in Phoenix or something maybe? I don't know.
I've got a meeting with Lindsay over in communications, so she can take care of that.
Thank you. I believe that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Go to Michael Lynn. Are you through, or do you want to present your roads and transportation to us? Well, you had some questions already.
I believe, Mr. Sutherland.
We've got a question.
Okay.
I have a complaint of collusion. Who do I direct that to?
Complaint of collusion in regards to a bid,
Yeah.
a roads bid?
Mm-hmm.
I guess that would be me, ma'am.
Okay, what do I do? Just get with you after here, have people talk to you?
Sure, that'd be fine. Yeah, you can talk to me after the
And-
meeting, yes.
Did you ever check into the CMET I was talking to you about?
I've looked into it, and I've got quite a bit of information to share. I don't know that we want to get into it today, that'd be up to Mr. Chairman, but Yeah, I have looked into it, yes.
Okay, could you send it to us or report to Chairman Lay or something? I'd ask him to check out some bids on comparing asphalt and cement
For,
for
okay,
roads.
wonder if you could just possibly send that to all of us? And we would take a look at it specifically for this council. But
Sure,
if we give it to one, we may as well give it to all.
sure, I understand. Will do, yes, sir.
Councilor Byrd?
I'll yield to Tom Gill.
No, go ahead.
Our fitness center, Marcoma,
Yes.
so nice facility. Terrible road.
I couldn't agree more.
Is that something that we're looking into?
Yes, yes, and Councilor Walkenstick brought this to my attention several months ago, and it's something that I've been concerned with ever since then, because I totally agree with you. Wonderful facility and terrible parking lot conditions. That we are in the process of trying to get that added to our road inventory. That whole facility, the whole campus, I should say, not just that particular facility. Once it's added to our inventory, it becomes eligible to spend federal dollars on. I've been in some contact with the construction management folks. I believe they have a site plan put together, and as well as maybe some engineered parking lot plans that we could certainly use as once they become available to becomes eligible for federal funding. Other than that, I have no source of funding for something like that until it becomes federally eligible.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Tanya?
That Barber Road that we're working on now,
Yes, ma'am.
did we bid the fence separate from the road project, or was it all bid in together? You know, the fences.
Separate from, did you say the water project?
No, the Barber.
Oh, Barber
Barber
project.
Road
No, it
project.
was bid together.
The fence was bid into the road project?
Yes, ma'am.
I thought, was I wrong, Michael? I thought we were gonna start doing the fences separate so that more of our taro vendors, small taro vendors would have an opportunity to participate in the bidding. We're not bidding the fences separate from?
We haven't. I know it was discussed several months ago, previously discussed, but it never was decided to officially separate it out.
So we're not separating out sodding or fencing or, I would like to talk about that because I thought that was what we were gonna do so that normally people that do roads and bridges, the sodding and the fence are a side issue to them.
Right.
And we have a lot of vendors, Terrell certified vendors that would like to be able to bid some of those small portions of those projects. And I thought we were going to separate those out and give them an opportunity to do that. I would like for you to consider bringing something back next month that provides that we can start down that road. I don't know how the rest of you all feel, but this was talked about in the first 4 years that I was on the council, that we were going to try to separate those things off and give more of our taro vendors an opportunity to bid on our road projects. And I remember specifically it was the fencing and the sod that we were talking about. Is there something that keeps us from pulling that away and letting that bidding take place separately?
There's nothing in place that really prohibits that from happening. You know, you've got to force contractors that, two individual contractors that are both
work
working for
together.
the nation, yes, to work in conjunction with one another. That could be a little bit of a management headache, but other than that, there's no rule or regulation prohibiting us from doing that.
Would there be any reason your department, I mean, just tell us frankly, is there a reason your department would not want to do it? Or is that something that we could all work on together to see if we could accomplish that?
I think it could be accomplished, yes. No, there's no reason we couldn't do it.
What are our next projects that are going to be bid out in the near future?
We've got Twin Oaks-Bull Hollow up in Delaware County, and then we've got,
That includes a bridge and a road, doesn't it?
it includes, depending on the definition of a bridge, we consider a bridge anything over 20 feet. That is, if you look at a bridge from that perspective, that project includes probably 10 to 15 different bridges, over 20 feet in distance, in length, I mean.
How long is the
It's
roadway?
9.5 miles, 9.6, I believe.
Would that not be a good one then to consider what we do about the sodding and the fencing separate from what we do about the total project?
Mhm. Now, not all projects will include sod from right away to right of way. They'll usually all consider, or have some sod on it.
But the sodding project could be bid out as a one project for the whole
Yes.
area.
Yes.
And let all the sod people bid on it. And then the fencing could be bid out for the whole area, the 9 miles, couldn't it?
Yeah. One of the issues you run into on sod is when a contractor, for instance, gets a slope finished and you can't get the sod guy in there to come in and get the sod laid, and we have heavy rains and we've got massive erosion and the slope falls apart, the slope has to be reworked. There's a lot of timing issues that come into play when you're talking about sod. Not as much timing issues that come into play when you're talking about fence, unless they're trying to hold in livestock and things like that. Sod, there could be some issues there. I think they could be worked out, but we need to be sure the sod folks or the seed, whatever we're going to use on the project, are on call, if you will, when this contractor, the prime contractor, needs them out there. Right now, the way it's handled, that all falls back on the contractor's shoulders. He builds a slope, can't get his own sod crew out there, or sod subcontractor out there to sod the slopes, and it falls apart. That's on him. If the slope falls apart and it's our fault, we can't get our contractor out there, then we're going to have quite a bit of liability there on us.
I know it would probably make our life a lot easier if we just bid out one lump sum contract.
It does.
And I realize that. But we're in the business of trying to get as many of our Terrell people jobs as we possibly can.
Agree.
And Bull Hollow brings up another example. Most of your highway people don't do the little bridges. So they're simply contracting them out. But they're not contracting them out to our Terrell people. They're contracting them out to non-Indian companies. And I don't see why we could not bid out the bridges separate from the roadway. Let's make the effort on our part to make sure we use as many Terrell vendors as we can possibly use. Not make it easy on us as a organization. We can make it a little harder on ourselves as long as it's our people that are getting the jobs.
And we have done that in some cases. The Twin Oaks project's a prime example. We built that bridge, the biggest bridge on there, several years ago, as a separate project. Now we're tying the road portion into that project. Lake Creek Bridge that Councilor Byrd asked about. We're building the bridge out separately from the road project. I mean, we've done that before.
If we've got 15 or 20 boxes, is what you're talking about,
Yes,
isn't it?
boxes. Yes, ma'am.
If we've got 15 or 20 boxes that need to be built, you're gonna find most of your road companies are just subbing that out. And they're not subbing them out to our people. And if they're not gonna do that, and we're not enforcing it, then let's get ahead of the ball game and let's bid those out separate from the roadway. Let's get our Terrell vendors in there to build the boxes, because we have a lot of Terrell vendors that are fully capable of building 1, 2, 3, 4 box bridges. I mean, we have a lot of concrete people that are capable of doing that. Our list is filled with concrete people. And that's basically what, you and I both know, that's basically what a box bridge is.
Correct.
Let's look at using one of these long projects as an example of how maybe if we break that up and we be sure that we're as loaded up with Terrell vendors as we can possibly be. It makes us kind of the prime, but we're fully capable of doing that. And let's get these Terrell vendors an opportunity to bid on a smaller portion of a large project. I would like to see us use the Bull Hollow project as an example of what we could do if we put our minds to it. And I bet we could come out with almost 100% Terrell participation on that project, well, except for maybe the road. Because the roadway itself and looking on the Taro list, I'm not finding too many people that do the pavement part. And that is the problem with the roads department, is the pavement part is your big prime. And he's just not, he or she, they're just not envisioning moving on down the line and using our Taro vendors. So let's take the parts that they don't want to do anyway, and let's give our Taro vendors an opportunity to bid on them.
Okay.
It's a little more work on our part, but we're here to make jobs for our people.
Right, I agree. Agree.
Could you maybe follow up on that in a month or 2 months before you put that project out for bid on how we could do that, how we could achieve that?
Yeah, it may delay that bid a little bit. We were hoping to get that out by the end of March. If you want to hold up on that, on the project to get this accomplished, we can.
If it would mean our people would get the jobs, I'm for waiting a month and making sure that our Taro vendors, our small Taro vendors, get an opportunity to bid on parts of that project that normally would go out through a prime, and possibly our Taro vendors would not get that opportunity.
Right, okay.
But that's just me. I'm not speaking for this whole group, but I'm here to see how many Cherokees I can get jobs.
Sure.
And I'm not seeing it happen sometimes when we're bidding out a $20 million or $15 million or $10 million project as a whole. I don't see the primes following up and using the Taro vendors. I'd like to see more of our people get jobs. I want to see our Cherokee dollars go to a Cherokee pocket. That's all I have.
Good. Well, those are good thoughts, and that's one of the problems with our present Taro situation. We've got, this body has got to fix that here pretty quick. But anyways, on the Councilor Thornton, please.
Yes, using the same thought there of mine, sod and fencing, that's not erosion control to me.
Fencing is not
I've
your,
worked on a lot of projects, and to me, and I don't know where this falls into the contracts, but putting in ditch liners, and drop inlets, and box culverts, that's erosion control, and that should be within the planning of building that road. Is it? Do we have that in there, and who covers that? Does, you know, we've got different vendors that can do that, but is this covered all under one vendor
Yes.
as far as building the road?
yes, sir.
Okay. Then, you know, if we've got that in there and placed right, we shouldn't have any problem with erosion for a while, anyways, if it's done right. But even to break that out of a contract would probably help some of the vendors.
Sodding and seeding is a form of permanent erosion control, though. It is. You got temporary erosion control, which is your sill fences, sill dikes, and things like
You can lay all the
that.
sods you want, but if you don't have a ditch liner or a drop inlet or a culvert to divert that water, that sod's gone. It's gonna get gone.
If it doesn't take hold.
If it takes hold, it just depends on where it's at.
Okay.
Is that it, David? Thank you. Councilor Fishing Hawk.
Can we require a prime to use all Taro subs?
Actually,
That
that was my wheels were turning when Councilor Glory was speaking. That's something that I'm going to take a look at, talk to some folks about. That we may be able to look to do some sort of required percentage on their subcontracts versus separating anything out. I wasn't going to mention that, but since you asked, that's something I'm going to consider. Mr. Chairman, is it appropriate if I ask Councilor Glory if that would
Yes,
fulfill
sir.
her request?
It is, yes.
It would work if we put it in the contract, Michael, that they've got to do it or we're gonna pull their contract.
Yeah, it would be in the contract,
And
yes,
then we
ma'am.
may have to pull 1 or 2 contracts because I'm not talking badly about anybody, but once they get that contract, it's a whole different ballgame. Then they forget all about, yeah, I was gonna use tarot vendors. Well, where does it say in that contract I got to use tarot vendors? I mean, we can pass so many laws over here, but if we can't get them enforced over on the other side, then we haven't created jobs for the Cherokees. And until we get to a point where we're willing to tell a big prime contractor, we're shutting your project down because we don't see tarot vendors being used as subs, we don't see Cherokees in these jobs, we're gonna shut you down. Until we start doing that, it's not gonna happen. They're going to continue to say, well, I don't see it in the contract, or you can interpret the contract this way. They're all for it before we start. But as soon as they get the contract, they conveniently start forgetting the whole idea is to make jobs for Cherokee people. This is a Cherokee project. And I mean to make jobs for sub vendors that are tarot certified Cherokee people. I want Cherokees in the jobs. I don't want the next 4 years to be like the last 4 years, where every time we go out on a job and we look at what they got out there, there's none of our people out there. And they say, well, you can't make us do that. It's not in the contract. And I have looked at y'all's contracts. And I think your contracts, and this is no reflection on you, because I'm sure we've used a standard contract. But we've got to get creative, because there's nothing in your contract that forces them to do what we're talking about. And then they all lawyer up, and I'm a lawyer, so I know how that works. Everybody, once they get a contract, they lawyer up and say, well, I don't have to do it. I only have to do what's in this contract. And we never learn our lesson. We just keep on giving out contracts that say the same thing. And it would be refreshing if we got a tight contract and we held them to it. And by the same token, I'd like to hold them to their feet to the fire that this is what we want you to build, and don't you give us a low bid and come back in and want a change order, because we're not change ordering anymore for you guys. That's where I'm seeing people do low bids knowing they can't build it for that. And then a month after the contract is let, they start coming in saying, well, we got to have a change order. This can't happen. Or it's been too long, sods went up, give us more money. Don't give me any more money. State of Oklahoma doesn't do it that way. If they agree to a price, make them build it for that price, or let's create us a D-bar list when they default and don't let them come back. I mean, that's, you don't even want to get me started on it. But I know, because my husband has a company that works for the state, I know what the state requires you to do. It's nothing like what Cherokee Nation requires. When they say you're going to use a certain percentage of DBE,
Yes, ma'am.
people, if you don't do it, they'll shut your project down. I mean, everything has, when they say you're going to build it for this dollar, you're going to build it for that dollar, and they don't care that gravels went up. They don't care that concretes went up. They don't care that it's costing more to hire people. They don't care how much longer it took than we projected it would take. They want it done, and they want it done for the dollar agreed upon, and they want it done for the terms agreed upon, and they are not hesitant at all to come in and shut you down. And a job that you're shut down on can ruin somebody.
Yes, can.
It can run it through their bonding ability. It can run it just through the fact it's shut down. By the time you get started, everything has changed. More, pricing's went up. And I think that we are too lax in letting people get by. I mean, we're constantly giving change orders. We're constantly letting them come in and beg for more time. Hold their feet to the fire. This is life. This is the way it works. I just pray you don't want to get me started on that. But there are lots of ways we could make our deal better, and we could assure that our people are working on our projects, and we're simply not enforcing some things. But that's for another day. Yes, I would very much like to see in the contract, if we can't bid it out separate, that they've got to at least have a minimum percentage. And we have to approve their bid. That's just one little paragraph in your contract that says they cannot use a sub unless they're approved by us. would take care of 90% of your problem.
We do that now.
Well,
We approve every single
then we need to-
subcontractor
We
in
need to
there.
not accept their excuse that we can't find us a Terrell vendor that'll work.
That's the only hiccup right there. We approve
I
every
just-
single
I
subcontractor
just-
now.
I just do not believe they cannot, now, what they can't find is Terrell vendors that are willing to take that line item for half of what they bid. You know, the state won't let you do that. If you bid a box bridge at this, and that guy's doing the whole bridge, he gets that line item. We have primes that are saying, well, I'm not gonna give you but half of what I bid that bridge at. Well, that's when you can't get a Terrell vendor because you're trying to starve them out. We need to be like the state. If they're going to do the whole bridge, then they get that whole line item. And so whatever it's bid, that's whatever those people will get paid if they're the Terrell sub. And I know what's happening out on your roads is they're trying to get them to do it for less than nothing. And I don't know, I guess they could get some companies to come in here that don't primarily use American labor to accomplish that. Is that the politically correct way to say it? Thank you, sir.
I wonder, as chair of this committee, if I could ask you to provide some old contracts that are done, probably, so that we don't, well, I don't know if they have to be done. We are the Cherokee Council, and so we control the money. And so if you could provide us just a few contracts that are a little bit different, like roads or boxes or bridges, and let us all see how that went and how many Tayro vendors went through, and try not to get them all with Tayro, try to get them, let's see both sides of that issue. If you could provide that for us by next meeting time, I think this council could look at it. We could see what she's talking about and what you're talking about. I'm visual, I have to have that in front of me so I can see it.
Okay, I think I can get that to you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you very much, Mike. Oh, boy. Commerce Housing Report, Anna Knight. She's trying to go sleep on me back there, I saw her.
I like being last. I'll keep it short. I know you're running behind. If you have any questions about my report, I'll be happy to answer them.
Are you in charge of the person who validates payroll vendors?
No, Diane's
Diane is.
department certifies tarot vendors.
I guess that's it.
All righty, thank you.
Okay, we have some old business. The resolution authorizing, is that date?
Yes. Folks, this is a resolution authorizing a donation of surplus equipment to Gore Public Water Association. And authority, I guess that's what you call it. But anyway, I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and pass this and take it on tonight and have it presented to the full council and get it passed so they can go ahead and think about putting this water filtering system within their system. And I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion?
Call for question.
We'll call for that question, thank you. Okay, motion's been made and seconded for this resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. New business, none pending. This meeting is going to be scheduled for Monday, April 16th at 2 p.m.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Meeting adjourned.